Hi there. In this video, I'm going to be looking at influences on financial management, more specifically looking at internal and external equity as sources of finance. So firstly, as the name implies, internal sources of finance is finance that comes from either the business owners, so the sole trader or the partners or whoever's involved in the business, the owners of the business, or from the outcomes of the business activities, so profit. Okay. There's two things we can look at here with internal sources. Okay, so there's owners' equity. So the funds contributed by the owners or partners, whether they be existing partners or any new partners that get brought in, to establish and build the business. Okay, so it's it could be their own savings that they bring towards the business. And then there's retained profits, so the outcomes of business activity. So the whole point of a business is to make profit. Okay, so the outcome of that is the profit. So all profits which are not distributed to people. Okay, so there might be some sort of shareholders involved, or someone who needs to, or that is entitled to some of that profit. So once all that's been dealt with, whatever's left is retained by the business, and that could then be used to fund, depending on how much there is, fund anything from small to large scale activities. Okay, but the key here is that it's retained. They keep it. Profits that aren't distributed to anyone. And then we've got external equity. Now, this is finance raised by selling shares, okay, to the public on the Australian Securities Exchange, the ASX. Okay, now this is where a public company would likely obtain funds. Okay, now with the ordinary shares, when someone buys a share in a business or a public company, rather, they become a part owner. Okay, and they receive dividends. So basically, a share of the business profits as a proportion of how many shares they actually own in the business or the company. Okay. Now there's a number of different types of ordinary shares. Okay. We've got new issue shares. Okay, so these are the ones that have been issued and sold for the very first time. Okay, so this normally happens when a company initially floats. Okay, they enter the stock exchange or the securities exchange for the very first time and offer shares for the very first time. Okay, it's they become public for the very first time here. So it's new shares, never been bought or sold by anyone before. Okay, we've got rights issue. Okay, you might have existing shareholders, so your company's been public for quite a few years. You want to raise more money. So what you do is you contact the shareholders who are already part owners, and you say, we're going to release some new shares. We're giving you the very first right to purchase these shares before we then offer them to other people. Okay. Then we've got placements, which are allotments of shares, debentures, other financial instruments here, made directly from the company to investors. And finally, a share purchase plan. An offer to existing shareholders in that company or in a listed company, the opportunity to buy more shares in that company without fees, maybe even a discount. Okay, so rather than buying the share at its full value plus a fee, they might offer it at the full value without a fee, or they might offer it at a discount in order to raise finance that way, utilizing their existing shareholder base. Another form of external equity is private equity. Okay, which is the money invested in a private company. So this is not listed on the Australian Securities Exchange, on the ASX. Now, with private companies, they have the right to determine who becomes a part owner of their company. Okay, public company, as the name implies, it's public to everyone. The CEO of a publicly listed company can't turn around and say, I don't want these people buying shares in this company. However, in a private company, that is the case. Okay, but this is money invested in the private company, as the name implies. Private equity, private company. The next video looks at still influences on financial management, but more specifically, we'll look at financial institutions. So where can you go to access funds? However, I hope this video on internal and external equity has been useful. Thank you.